Okay, the British are going to be going first. Now the Defiance here and the Portland each have a mast down. Now they've got the wind, they're running before the wind, so they actually have 3 movement points left. And I think because they go first, Defiance is going to crash through the French line here, go as far as she can. The Portland will go through the Redoubtable. Now in the rules, you're allowed to go through enemy ships as long as you can clear the hexes. So I'll move the British ships, and then we'll catch the action after I've moved all of the British vessels. Okay, this is after the British have moved, but prior to the French movement. Now the Defiance and the Portland are in pretty good positions here. They certainly blocked up the hippopotamus, I guess. And the French are going to have a little bit of a hard time fixing up their line here. There's some potential collisions. There's going to have to be a lot of back sailing. So I'll have to read the collision rules because that could happen. The French have got a speed of 5 here, and this is really going to cause a mess. But at least the British now are opposite the French, and we should see some rough fighting this turn. Let's catch the action after the French have moved. This is after French movement. They were actually able to move their line fairly efficiently. Got some very interesting firing going on here. I think something decisive is going to happen. The French were able to close up their line. Let me refocus the camera here. They were able to close up their line, and some British ships are trying to catch up at the rear. They probably won't catch up as long as the French keep going 5. Of course, there could be a wind direction change. So we're going to have firing all the way down the line and some very rough firing here. So let's catch the action after all ships have fired. Okay, this is after all the firing was done, and there was some terrific damage taken. The Portland now is flipped to her other side, and some of these other ships are very close to being flipped. So there's a lot of equal fire along the way here. Of course, the Hippopotamus here got to fire into the Defiance, as did the Orphy, so the Defiance is taking a lot of hits. She's almost down to her second rigging hit down, section down, and she's approaching being flipped herself. So that was a ferocious turn of firing. So we're going to be doing turn 5, and we have a possible wind change. Okay, we rolled for wind. There was no change. Rolling now to see who has the initiative. The French have a 3. The British have a 2. But I think you add the audacity rating here. So let me just check that. No, you only use the audacity rating when there's a tie. So the French go first on turn 5. So they'll have some interesting decisions to make. Let's catch the action after I've moved the French fleet. Okay, I was worried we'd have a traffic jam down there with Admiral Glandeves here and the Redoubtable. But she had a speed of 5, so she was able to scoot ahead and clear the area. She doesn't want to block the fire. Actually, by the rules, she does. Yeah, she does. She's going to block the fire of the Orphy, because the rules say if you've got a friendly target within range, you block fire, which is rather unfortunate. But the British player has yet to move. But Hippopotamus cleared the area too, leaving the French to close up their line. They should be able to really smash up the Portland now. So we'll move the British, see what they can do to get out of this mess. That was an interesting turn to move for the British, because they had some ships there that are pretty smashed up. The Defiance managed to get into a half-decent position to fight the Orphy. And the Portland, oh, I forgot to move the Portland, so I'll have to fix that. But the rest of the British line closed up pretty good, even though they were damaged. And the rear was able to scoot, because they're almost not hit at all, move 5, moving up the French line. So let me just get the Portland fixed up here. She's got, wow, she doesn't even have a rigging section down. So she's got a movement of 5. Let me just see what she could have done. Okay, because she was undamaged in the rigging, she was able to scoot through the hole there and sort of almost get back into the British line. Now, we're going to have some terrific fire here this time. And maybe the Portlands are going to be really knocked out. Anyway, we'll go down the line again, do all the ships firing, and see what happens. Now, a lot of ships have taken some damage here, so we might see some flipped ships this turn. Okay, as I suspected, there was fearful damage done that turn. The Defiance is very badly hit. Got a lot of rigging, a lot of hulls. The Portland is already flipped, and she's got a rigging section down. Down the line, there's lots of damage. So some of these ships are in danger of flipping next turn after one good fire phase. So I think turn 6, 7, and 8, 3 turns, might have this game decided. Now I'll just have to check the break-off rules again to make sure one side isn't breaking off. Okay, there's no break-off because no ship has either been sunk, struck, captured, or sailed off the map edge. So we're going to turn 6, and I'm going to roll for initiative to see who goes first. And the French are going first on turn 6. So let me look at the situation, see what the French can do, and to decide whether they should go first. Okay, I think I'll let the British go first this time. I'm not exactly sure why. The British aren't in an enviable situation. And maybe by letting them go first, they're going to be able to sort of correct it. But I'll let the British go first, and we'll catch the action after I've moved all of the British ships. But we have some ships here that are pretty shot up. And since some of them are beating against the wind, they may not be going as far as they think. Let's see how that works out. Okay, we still have a bit of a mess here because the British ships are shot up pretty bad here, but they're trying to stay together in line. But the French have yet to move. Now, in the rear, the British ships at the rear now have got a full speed of 5, and they haven't even been touched. So one of them is scooting up here to the Triton. So the Triton is going to be able to receive fire from 2 British ships here. And the Ramillies is finally in line with Admiral Byng. That's a big ship, third rate, 90 guns. And she should begin to do some damage here. But it's the van here that I'm concerned about. Lots of things could happen. But the French have yet to move. So let's see what happens after the French move. Can they correct this mess? Okay, that's after the French have moved. They more or less sped up the line as fast as they can go to clear these British ships at the rear, closed up the front, and I think they're going to try to, the Buckingham and the Portland should be really smashed up. Let's see how the firing goes. This could get ugly. Okay, as I predicted, there was some fearful fire that turn, some just horrible hits on some of these ships. Several flipped. The Guerriere flipped, the Princess Louisa, and the Revenge. And what's the name of this ship again? The old Portland is smashed to pieces, and she's got a vulnerable marker on her. So in the appropriate ship status phase, she may even strike. So there's no melee. And so I guess we go to the ship status phase. So that ship will be rolling to see if she strikes. Okay, more or less, she will strike if she rolls 4 or more, which is allowed to subtract the audacity rating for the British, which is 1. So let's see if that ship strikes. She rolls a 2, and I think she strikes. Okay, because the Portland has struck her colors, we'll have to check the break-off rules just to see if there is break-off for the fleet. Okay, if I'm reading the table right, the British would have to roll a 0 for the fleet to break. And they can't really do that because they get to add the audacity rating, which is 1. So they cannot break yet. It'll be damaged ships that determine whether the fleet breaks off. So that's the end of turn 6. Okay, rolling for turn 7 for audacity. And the French get 4, the British get 2. That means the French determine who will move first. Okay, I think I'll have the French move first. They're going to see if they can really mess up the head of the British van here. Let's see what they can do. Okay, the French player decided to move his line straight down, And these two ships, the Redoubtable and the Hippopotamus, are going to try to move upwind a bit. And the Sage moved in front of the Buckingham, see if we can box her in. And since the French are opposed to sort of damaged ships, they figure, why not just get in a 1-to-1 battle down the line? So it'll be up to the British now to see what they can do and fix up their line a bit, if they can. Okay, the British were able to correct their position a bit. The Buckingham here went through the Sage, just barely had enough movement points. The Captain came down here. We'll have a good stern rake against the Orpheus here. The rest of the British line moved down as fast as it could. Some of these ships are kind of shot up. And the rear of the British line, those fresh ships, were finally able to scoot ahead. And now we have Deptford and Culloden firing on the Triton. So that could really damage the Triton. So where I thought the British were in a bit of a mess here and were kind of losing, not true, they do have a ship that is struck, but it still is in the balance. And die rolls are making a difference now. Whether you roll a 0 or a 7 is now making a difference, because some of these ships are pretty shot up on the hull. Even some of the French ones are bad. So let's do the firing, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, the firing was pretty bad. Bad in one sense, with some pretty crazy die rolls. The Captain had a beautiful stern shot here on the Orpheus, and she ended up rolling a 0, adding 1 for audacity, so she didn't do much. But some of the this ship flipped, and some of these ships are really, really close to flipping too, so it was a pretty decisive turn. So we've got a decision here. I think that we have a potential melee where the Guerriere could possibly capture this ship. Just have to check the rules on that. Okay, I'm going to try to grapple Guerriere with Portland. It says in the rules that the Portland cannot resist. There's so many favorable modifiers for grappling because of the manpower and stuff. Probably will get a grapple, and if you grapple with the Portland, it'll be automatically captured. So I'll roll the die. She gets a 3. That's going to be enough to grapple with her, so the Portland will be captured. Okay, so that ends turn 7. And there still can't be break off, so I'll probably put together the second part of the video up now. I'm not sure how long this part of the video is. So we'll end part 2 here at the end of turn 7. So we'll beginning turn 8, where we will be rolling for initiative. Now I'll just do a total of the hits to see who's potentially winning. This will give us an idea. Now the game is not decided by the number of hits inflicted, but to give you an idea of what kind of damage is occurring. The British have incurred 135 hits. The French have incurred 87 hits. So the French are doing better. They've caused more ships to flip, and they've actually captured one ship. So the French are winning. Whether the British can retrieve this, I don't know. Certainly we're doing a lot more damage than Commodore Bing ever did. So let's wrap the video there. End of part 2.